The Zephyrian Council had studied Earth's creatures for decades before the human colonization of Kepler 442b began. Their xenobiological reports were thorough, clinical, and utterly dismissive. Category 7 species, common mammals with limited cognitive capacity and negligible threat assessment. The honey badger Mellivora capensis had earned barely a footnote in their extensive databases. They were about to learn why that was a mistake. Daniel Martinez wiped sweat from his brow as he checked the perimeter sensors around Colony 7 for the third time that morning. The young engineer had been stationed on Kepler 442b for 8 months now, and the routine had become second nature. Check the shields, monitor the power grid, ensure the atmospheric processors were functioning within normal parameters. It was honest work, keeping 300 souls alive on a planet that wanted them dead. Still obsessing over those readings? Hazal Chen's voice carried a note of gentle teasing as she approached the monitoring station. The colony's chief biologist had been Daniel's closest friend since their arrival, her sharp mind complemented by an infectious curiosity about their new world. "The Zephyrians are moving again," Daniel said, pointing to the thermal signatures on his display. "Third patrol this week. They're getting bolder." Hazal frowned, studying the data. The Zephyrians had been observing the human colony since its establishment, their crystalline ships maintaining what they claimed was a respectful distance. But respectful distances had been shrinking lately, and their bioscans were becoming more frequent and invasive. "Maybe they're just curious," she offered, though her tone suggested she didn't believe it herself. Daniel was about to respond when an alarm pierced the morning air. Emergency klaxons meant only one thing: breach in the outer perimeter. They rushed to the command center where Colonel Sarah Hayes was already coordinating the response. "We've got Zephyrian ground forces approximately 50 meters from Section C," she announced grimly. "They're not just observing anymore." Through the reinforced windows they could see them, tall, graceful beings with skin like polished obsidian, and eyes that glowed with inner light. The Zephyrians moved with predatory elegance, their energy weapons humming with barely contained power. Behind them, massive war forms loomed like mechanical spiders, each one capable of reducing the colony to rubble. "Why now?" Hazal whispered. "We haven't done anything to provoke them." "We exist," Colonel Hayes replied coldly. "That seems to be provocation enough." The Zephyrian leader stepped forward, its voice carrying across the space between them with unnatural clarity. "Humans of the Third Colony, your presence on this world violates the Galactic Preservation Accord. You will evacuate within one standard cycle or face immediate termination." Daniel felt his heart sink. One standard cycle, barely 6 hours. Impossible. The transport ships weren't due for another 3 months, and the colony's own vessels could evacuate maybe 50 people, not 300. That's when they heard it. A low, guttural sound. That seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The Zephyrians froze, their glowing eyes scanning the perimeter with sudden uncertainty. "What was that?" Colonel Hayes demanded. Hazal's face had gone pale. I think it's Buster." 3 months ago, a supply drop had gone wrong. Instead of emergency medical supplies, one pod had contained a very confused, very angry honey badger from Earth's wildlife preservation program. The mix-up had been bureaucratic comedy at its finest. Someone in shipping had mixed up emergency medical supplies Kepler colony with emergency relocation wildlife sanctuary. The colonists had tried to capture Buster, but the honey badger had other plans. It disappeared into the alien wilderness, and everyone assumed the local predators had made short work of it. Everyone except Hazal, who had been leaving food scraps near her lab, just in case. The growling grew louder, and suddenly the Zephyrians were no longer the most dangerous things on the perimeter. Buster emerged from the alien undergrowth like a force of nature compressed into 30 pounds of pure aggression. His black and white fur was matted with the purple sap of native plants, and his small eyes burned with the kind of fury that had made his species legendary on Earth. But he wasn't alone. Behind him came creatures that made the colonists gasp. native Kepler predators that should have eaten him months ago. Instead, they followed him like a pack, moving with coordinated precision that spoke of intelligence and planning. "Impossible," breathed the Zephyrian leader. "Category 7 species cannot exhibit pack leadership behaviors with unknown xenofauna." Buster seemed to take that as a personal insult. What happened next would be discussed in xenobiological circles for generations. The honey badger, displaying the same fearless aggression that had earned his species its reputation, charged straight at the nearest Zephyrian warform. The machine's weapons tracked him, energy beams scorching the ground where he'd been milliseconds before. But Buster was already climbing the mechanical spider's legs with the determination of an apex predator that had never learned the meaning of retreat. The native pack followed his lead, swarming the Zephyrian forces with tactics that seemed impossibly coordinated. Six-legged creatures with crystal-hard carapaces flanked from the left, while aerial predators dove from above. It was chaos, but chaos with purpose. "He's been studying them," Hazal whispered in amazement. 3 months in the wilderness. He's been learning their weaknesses, building alliances. The Zephyrian leader's composure cracked as Buster reached the warform's control center and began doing what honey badgers did best, breaking things that weren't meant to be broken. Sparks flew as claws designed to tear through termite mounds, and beehives found purchase in alien circuitry. "Retreat," the leader commanded, its voice no longer carrying supreme confidence. "All units, immediate withdrawal." As the Zephyrian forces fled, their warforms stumbling and sparking thanks to Buster's handiwork, the honey badger sat atop his conquered mechanical prey and fixed the colonists with a look that clearly said, "This is my territory now." "Daniel," found his voice first. "Did a honey badger just save our colony?" "He didn't just save it," Hazel said, watching as Buster climbed down and began marking his territory with the casual confidence of someone who had just reclassified himself in the galactic food chain. "He sent a message to every species in this sector. Humans might seem harmless, but we bring friends they can't possibly understand." The Zephyrians never returned to Colony 7. Their reports to the Galactic Council spoke of humans with impossible ally networks and Category 7 species that defied all classification. The honey badger became legend. The tiny Earth creature that proves sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one that simply doesn't know when to quit. And Buster? He took up residence near Hazal's lab, accepting food scraps and belly rubs, while maintaining his position as the unofficial guardian of humanity's most distant outpost. After all, honey badgers don't care about galactic politics. They just care about protecting what's theirs.